Hey everyone, welcome to the Current Surf Show. I'm your host, Old Surf Dad, and with me is T-Bone. T-Bone, there's a new schedule out. It's the CS schedule, and it's awesome. I don't know if you've seen it, but it includes Australia, Africa, California, Europe, and South America. What could go wrong? It sounds like they've covered a lot of the countries. What was your initial take on this schedule, T-Bone? Tell us what you think.
Oh, geez, where do we start?
I
I
don't know.
I know we'll get into it a little bit later, but I did a bit of a comparison. I won't get into it now, longboard versus challenger, but
Oh, I've got that slide coming.
yeah, it's coming. Not impressed. It just, I mean, I'm sure all those locations on their day deliver, some high quality ways. But first impressions was not impressed. I won't be marking my calendar as the Wazzle suggested to watch Sakurama
Oh,
and
yeah.
wherever else they were going. Nah, I wasn't excited.
You're such
Yourself?
a gentleman. You're such a gentleman, and that was such a great way to promote, to talk about it, to start the show off. I too want to be invited back to the WSL press, so I'll rein it in a little bit. But I did make a comment on their Instagram page, and a lot of people did, or on their Instagram post, I should say. But let me back up for a second. Yeah, underwhelmed as everyone is, and you're hearing a lot of comments from everyone. But I want to say this, T-Bone. When the new schedule for the CT came out, you and I got an email that said, "Hey, the new schedule's coming. You can prepare for it, and we're going to launch it. And we want you guys to know first, so you can send it out to the news outlets." This was crickets, dude. I woke
It
up from a
was.
night shoot, and the next day, and I saw it, and I was like, "Oh, dude, we gotta do a show."
Yeah.
It was just different. The way they approached it. Why do you think the schedule sucks so bad, T Bone?
I don't know whether it's could be a combination of things, whether it's sponsors, whether they've reduced the challenger from 6 events to 5 events because they've increased the CT numbers and stops. Maybe they're putting all their eggs into the CT and didn't have enough residual cash to have a proper challenger. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. I think surely sponsorship dollars and all the politics that comes with holding events around the world probably comes into play, I'd say. Um, why? I mean, I sort of feel that they're working on it, but their hands are tied at the moment. They just can't change the locations.
Yeah, I clearly agree that it's a budget issue. And I also like that you brought the politics into it. And I think that's one of the reasons we've talked about this before, that Indonesia is not involved and should be involved more. What baffles me, though, is Indonesia is involved in the QS. And you and I have had these conversations about the QS. I mean, I actually saw a comment on Instagram that said, people are going to try to fall off the CS so they can get back to the QS where there's real waves.
Yeah,
And
man, I've
they're
read
not
some funny
wrong.
ones. Yeah,
There were some
mate.
great comments. We're going to look at that, the Instagram post in a second here. I think I'm just going to pull that up. What
Yeah,
were you going to say? Go for it. I want to hear it.
I was I took a couple of notes, and I guess after looking at it, there's 5 events. Um,
I got a
reduced.
slide for that, but keep going.
Have
No,
you?
keep going.
I
I
was
do.
just
I
thinking.
think, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, mate, it's going to be so much harder to make the CT with less events. I mean, every heat is going to count, isn't it? I mean,
Mm.
there's going to be no throwaways. You can't, yeah, you just can't have a bad contest. And there's 80 surfers, I believe, for next year. 80 surfers on the Challenger, all battling it out, 4-man heats in some sloppy little beach break.
Yeah, I can't agree more. And I have a slide that's gonna talk about that, and you jumped ahead, which I love, T-Bone. You know who would
I'm frothing,
probably
man.
have
I'm frothing.
frothing, dude? I'm frothing too. I was so hyped for this because there's so much to talk about around the CS, and I mean, should they even have a CS now? Is where my head goes. But let's back up and talk about Aaron Brooks. Aaron Brooks, if there wasn't a Gold Coast snapper event, she would not have made the top five. She would not have been promoted to the CT. And therein lies our problem. Aaron Brooks is probably the most qualified woman to make the CT. And she was fourth. And remember, she won at Snapper. So that gives you an
She did.
idea of how important it is to to have pro surfers properly, to be able to show their skills to make the next level, to make the big leagues. I did pull up the Instagram, but I want to start with this. Let me pull this up. Yes, right there. So
There she
here's the
is.
Challenger Series. There she is. So I made a joke earlier that, hey, they've covered all the bases: Australia, Africa, California, Europe, and South America. The only problem is they've picked the worst spots in those countries. I'm not going to say the worst spots, but seriously, T-Bone, is Newcastle in the top 50 surf spots in Australia or even on
Oh,
the
see,
East
I've never
Coast?
surfed, mate. I've never surfed Newcastle. I mean, Newcastle can get epic. I've seen epic footage. Yeah, I mean, I listen. It's if I just base it off previous contests in Newcastle, I don't think I can recall many epic events held in epic ways in Newcastle. Yeah,
Well, I have surfed it,
that's
and
that's
I
kind
will tell you
of. Oh,
that
have you?
the only reason I did was one, a guy was making a water housing for me for my camera, and this is, going back 20 some odd years, and I had to wait. If you guys know that camera guy, Dave, oh fuck, what's his name? He makes some of the most incredible custom housings. But anyway, I'm getting off track. I surfed there because I was stuck with a guy made my water housing, but also I wanted to see the great MR, and I surfed Meriwether Point with a great MR, just me and MR out, and it was a
No
magic
way.
moment in my surfing career. And he was like, he just gave me the slightest head nod, and I was so fucking
Did you carry him off the
stoked, dude.
beach?
I wish I could have. He's too big, bro. He's the wingspan on the man. He was,
Little
and he was
5'8"
ripping. Yeah, it was pretty cool. But anyway,
Epic.
but it's a very average place, and my point is this, and no offense to the Newcastle locals who get plenty of waves there, but it's not something that you want to qualify world tour surfers, championship surfers. And the same could be said for Bolito. I know that they get waves, and I've seen epic photos in the magazines and online of Cave Rock and all those waves around
Yeah.
that area. But Bolito, as of yet, I know it gets epic, but as of yet has not delivered great conditions in that event.
No.
And then we go to Huntington Beach, dude. And look, all of the history aside, why are we holding this? Should be a QS event,
Oh,
at best. We have so many waves that are better in California than Huntington Beach. Hell, put Trestles in there. Put Trestles in
there's
there.
no, yeah, no, exactly. There's no X factors amongst those events. There's nothing that's challenge. Oh, can I say challenging?
The Challenger Series is not challenging.
No, it's not.
You
It's
just
not.
hit it. Like that should be the new slogan. And I decided that my slogan, I think I made this comment on the Instagram, was like, I didn't say this on the WSL post, but I thought about it, like, instead of the slab tour, it's the sad tour. This is truly sad. And we didn't talk about the next two waves. Portugal, Ericeira. Fun wave for me on my mid length. I'm having a blast. I want to ride that wave. It's kind of a Portuguese bells, okay? Cool wave, and that's probably, and it's it's a long right hander, and that's great. And then you get to Saquarema, and By the way,
Mm.
Portugal and Europe, they should have that in France if it
I
was my
agree.
pick.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
agree.
then and because you can pick off some barrels and you can get Hossiger and those places really good at that time of the year. It's early early October, late September, and then Sequadema, and we've beaten that dead horse.
We have.
Do
At least
do they
there's a
get
good
waves?
party on the
Yes.
beach.
Yeah, it's a party on the beach.
That's that
Um,
that's positive.
yeah, that's your big. But I mean, we're not here for a party on the beach. We're here to qualify
No, we
surfers
are.
with a challenging
We are.
Challenger series. So, yeah. Anyway, hey, you know what I want to do? I want to show the next slide. So I want to go back in time, T-Bone. And
Nice.
what I've done is I put together, for those of you in the podcast, I'm showing the 2022 schedule and the 2023 schedule side by side. I'm going to read off the 2022 schedule. Snapper Rocks, and
What a
then
start.
Sydney Surf Pro, and I think
Mm.
that was in Manly that year, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So, or was it Narrabeen? No, it was Narrabeen in
Yeah, I think it was
2022. I
Narrabeen.
believe it was Narrabeen. I don't remember. Anyway,
Yeah.
your average beach break in Sydney. Okay, so you went Snapper, Sydney, Bolito, Huntington, Ericeira. Still pretty average. Then we get to France. Then we get to Saquarema, and then the one we've been waiting for, Haleiwa. Haleiwa ended the Challenger Series, and
Yeah.
that is a great wave to end on. And the thing that I noticed, T-Bone, is we're currently down to 5 events. There were 8 events when this Challenger Series was presented, and that's a way to qualify people. Your thoughts?
Definitely. Hey mate, I was just thinking about, how we're just talking about the schedule and the reasons why. You know what a potential another reason is? I don't think because you know how we've got what 5 events now and before it was 8 and 22. I just don't think the average surfer can afford to travel to 8 events. I don't know whether that's probably not, but I remember Stab did a bit of research into how much it costs to travel the world as your average Joe QS Challenger surfer.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
what did that? What was that number? That number was like 40 grand or
it's 40 to
45,000.
50k, 40 to 50k travel, but then
Doing it
you've
cheap,
got
by the way.
yeah. And I was just looking at the prize money. Mikey Madoni, who won $20,000 when he won the Snapper Pro.
Mm,
So, so if you look at this year, even if let's say someone goes out and wins 5 events, that's 100k, which is not going to happen. But
no.
100k minus taxes, coaches, travel expenses, your little strike missions. Then you got all your bills at home. Even if you win every event, you're probably going to
Jeez.
end up you're not making money out of this this stage in your surfing career unless you're highly got a highly lucrative sponsorship. But it's pretty bleak, isn't it, mate? It's such a lifestyle pursuit. I find I just don't feel like it's never really got into that. Whether you're top 40, top 50 tennis player or golf player, it's you can make a healthy living. Whereas surfing, I think we're always just going to struggle with that. Yeah, a balance between making a living and just having a bit of a lifestyle for a couple of years.
You bring up a great point, T-Bone, and I think that I think a couple things. One is I think that the sponsorships aren't there for most of the surfers, and they're going to barely get by on this. And I think even Mateus Herde was saying he was struggling to make that tour, sleeping on couches, their board bags costing them money and begging and pleading not to be charged. I mean, they're roughing it. And the other thing I was going to say is 8 events is expensive for the WSL.
It
Certainly,
is.
that's why they've cut that down. And they run a ton of QS events, which are costing them money. So they're probably bleeding money qualifying people. I could see them restructuring this somehow, and they put this program together to be simpler, but it doesn't seem like it's working. But to go back to the other point, which was the money to travel, what's
Yeah.
interesting, T-Bone, is this schedule compared to what we have now, the 5 events, you're still going to completely out of the way places. And let's jump back onto that topic when we look at that, because
Sure.
most of the same ones are there. The only one that really makes a difference is Haleiwa to go to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And that's a pricey flight, but it's not that bad. Where you're really burning money. So if you, in the new schedule, you are surfing in Australia, but you've got Gold Coast and Sydney back to back, that's not going to cost you that much more money. Then you
No.
still got to go to Bolito, Huntington, Ericeira, and then in Quicksilver
Then
Pro
go to
France
Europe.
is right there. You're in
Yeah.
Europe, and then you go to Saquarema. So it's almost the same from the cost
Yeah.
standpoint of the surfer, but it gives them more. I think your point was well taken earlier that they only have so many events that they have to perform, and there's
Exactly.
a lot of pressure. So let's look at 2023. You've got Gold Coast, Sydney, Bolito, U.S. Open of Surfing, Huntington, Ericeira, and Saquarema. So from 2022 to 2023, they cut Haleiwa, and all of us feel like
Disappointing.
that needs to be there. It's so disappointing. And what's the phrase that we always hear is wave of consequence. Haleiwa
Yeah.
is at, compared to these others, is a wave of consequence, and it has its day. And I wanted to, speaking of that, let me jump ahead to this. Haleiwa just had a lights out event, the HIC, I believe it was the HIC Pro that Josh Moniz won.
Yeah.
And the waves were good. And
Oh,
Haleiwa,
pumping.
Haleiwa, I mean, it has its moments. It's not always great, but it's better than the other events on tour. But
What
I
I
love
like
that.
about
Yeah,
sorry,
go
mate,
go
ahead.
for it. I totally want to hear what your take on this, because you and I have a controversy we need to settle with those of you in the chat. I want to hear your take in the chat. Go for it, T-Bone.
Mate, it was the most stacked QS 1000 of Hawaiian, like probably the most highest caliber surfers in Hawaii for a
Yeah,
QS 1000. When Haleiwa is overhead, double overhead, it at least gives the surfers opportunity. It peels off. It's not a closeout beach break. It peels off, and it just allows for some really big power hacks, carves. When you watch some of the guys, especially John at Haleiwa, I love watching Haleiwa when it's big open faces and they just go to
yeah,
town on it. And yeah, I think it was the most popular comment on the Wazzles Instagram. Everyone's saying no Hawaii, no Challenger, Triple Crown. What happened to the Triple Crown?
exactly.
I read this classic comment. Someone said just do 3 events to qualify for the CT: Haleiwa, Sunset, and Pipe. Done.
And I love that. Like, you qualify by Triple Crown. That sounds appropriate, because one of those will give you some smaller days, maybe. But if not, those are 3 waves of consequence back to back. And by the way, Josh Moniz has won the first leg of the Triple Crown. Now, what about the others? And the controversy
Exactly.
I was referring to earlier was this, T-Bone. I love Sunset. I think that is a wave that you should prove yourself. And I'm old school, old man about that, because that defined surfers back in the day. And I know that's a tired old take, but I'm starting to come around to, T-Bone and I had a debate which wave is better, which wave better qualifies a surfer. I said Sunset, and T-Bone stuck with Haleiwa. What do you guys think in the comments? T-Bone, are you still sticking with that?
Yeah, I'm still sticking with Haleiwa. I mean, hey, I love love watching big Sunset, but Haleiwa is it just gives, yeah, I just find it more pleasing on the eye, to watch people like John and Barramamir and all those big natural footers just laying these big, massive power carving turns. You
Yeah.
get that at Sunset, but I just find Halieva's a bit more high performance and power. Not saying Sunset's not. It's a hard one, but
It's a different type of power.
it's a different
Sunset's
one.
more of an open ocean situation with heavy offshore winds, and it's a difficult wave to surf with a
Yeah.
huge monster peak that you have to negotiate. Haleiwa, by the way, Haleiwa is one of my favorite waves personally to surf, and I love it in the head high, little overhead range. But it quickly changes when it starts to get double overhead. It moves further out. It becomes a gnarly paddle out, get stuck inside. The toilet bowl starts to stick up. But that high performance wall that everyone just wrecks with a slash, they make that look so easy, T-Bone.
Yeah.
Um,
They,
and
they
I can
do.
tell you from being out there, and I've been out there, and I know this has happened to those of you that served Hawaii, is you get out and it's fun and you're having a blast and it's overhead, and the next thing you know, a double overhead set comes, and the next thing you know, you're out over your limit very quickly within an hour, and it's happened to me at
Yeah.
Sunset and at Haleiwa. It's happened, and but they're such good waves, and I would love to see a wave of consequence. And that was a top comment that you heard on Instagram was we need a real qualifying wave to challenge the Challenger Series contestants. I'm gonna just continue to beat that one. But let's go back.
Definitely.
So here's 2024. All of the same events except for they took Narrabeen out and they took Snapper Rocks out and they replaced it with Newcastle. So
Yeah.
they're clearly
They gave it back to the CT, didn't they, Snapper? They would have been bummed.
yeah, I'm pretty happy to see it on. I'm pretty happy to see it on the Challenger Series post, and I wanted to read. I wanted to
Oh,
read Koa Smith's
yeah.
response. If
Great.
you guys haven't seen this, it's so worth it. And here's what Koa Smith said in response to the Challenger Series post that WSL put on their Instagram page or Instagram post. Koa Smith says, going to respectfully drop in here and paint a dream. What if the Challenger Series offered an opportunity for the next generation of the sport to shine and show their worthiness in different aspects of surfing so when they get to the CT, they're ready? God, so good.
Yeah.
Creating a well-balanced schedule at consistent beach breaks, point breaks, lesson rights, and a wave of consequence. Exciting surfing, better waves, more views, more sponsors, better surfers. Like college football versus NFL, same field, younger players. Or if it's golf, as an example, this would be like having the tour players play putt-putt to see who's in the majors. Just a thought. We all want to elevate this sport for the greatest good. And I mean, what a rope right there. T-Bone, your thoughts?
Oh, he's just summed it up nicely, hasn't he?
Yeah.
It's clearly lacking, right? It's clearly lacking, and I'm sure I'd like to think that WSL are working on making the challenger more inviting. Because at the moment there's no interest. The average core surfer will not be interested in tuning into any of those locations. At least Snapper last year, when you knew there was going to be some swell at Snapper, you knew, yeah, I'll tune in. And people are going to be getting shacked off the rocks, and it was worth watching. Online. Um, they know it. They know it. I just think their hands are tied. Yeah, Cole Smith has just summed it up perfectly. But it sounds easy, but they're just not getting. It's the challenger has not, provided the right balance of locations and pathway in the CT for the surface. It's just proving a very expensive hobby that's not going
Yeah.
to get you anywhere unless the surfers in the CT, they scrape by, but yeah, it's more work needs to be done. Let's just leave it at that.
And you and I are hardcore fans, and I know there are other hardcore fans watching this, and we want to see good surfing. And you and I are talking about, I'm not even going to tune in for this. And imagine somebody who's on the fringe of, and I talk to a lot of people in surf shops or people that surf or people I work with that surf. And I'm like, are you into the WSL? And they're like, they're kind of on the, yeah, I'll watch it if it's good. And that person, that part of the market is not going to watch these events. And which I think it's discouraging. I wanted to bring up something else when you're talking about the cost to travel to these 5 spots. The cost, you could take that same money, T-Bone, and I think I wrote this in my post on the WSL Instagram. The cost for that money, you could take a trip to Indonesia and spend the summer there, and then spend the winter in Hawaii and make an edit and become a free surfer or make your sponsors happy and actually come out ahead and not in the red and make a little bit of money and have fun doing it. The odds of making the CT are extremely low. And this is the best of the best 80 surfers going into the deal, you know? And I think about this when I put down here, you know, Sierra Kerr. Take a Sierra Kerr, and she's on the thumbnail for a reason. She's looking down, like she's looking at this going, now she's got the skills clearly to make it, but you're taking away, just as you could have from Aaron Brooks and others, her ability to surf big waves is her point of difference. Okay, she can surf these small waves, but you put her in these 5 waves, and she might as well just go be a free surfer, because she's got the clips, she's got the sponsor, she's got the name.
Exactly.
Why would you want to go to the Challenger Series? And I would put a lot of surfers in that class. Jacob Wilcox probably won't give it another run looking at this thing. And that's a guy who should clearly be on the CT.
Yeah.
And I'm bringing up Aussies. There's plenty of Americans that are going to have that same problem.
I had a bunch of random names, even from the past. I always thought Zeke Lau was a lot better surfer, and he should have requalified, but
that's a good one, T-Bone.
He suffered to the Challenger Series. I mean, Bronte McCauley.
Yeah, Bronte for sure. Good one.
You know, I mean, how long did it take Ramsey Bookham to get onto the CT? You know, and,
like
and
10
now
years,
he's on.
Dude.
I know. Now he's on. Look at him. Matthias Hurdy. I mean, it's
still struggling to get on.
He's still struggling. So it's, you know, Koa Smith is summed it up perfectly. You need a right and a left, you know, throw in the beachy, throw in a wave of consequence, and it just,
and make it affordable, maybe.
Make it affordable,
I don't know how, but those of you that are watching this on YouTube, make a comment. Tell us in the comments below a surfer who has a talent, but with these waves probably could not make the CT. And I think there's a list there, and somebody that you're probably a fan of is not going to make the CT because of this Challenger Series. I want to move on. I want to go back to this slide. Let's go back. So this was we talked about this. This was what you wanted to get to. Here's the Challenger Series.
Here we go.
Here's the Longboard Tour.
I've got questions for you, mate.
T-Bone, you tell me, give me your questions. Look at that.
Okay. So the WSL released the Longboard Tour straight after the Challenger Tour.
Right.
And
one post after the next.
Yeah. So on the Longboard Tour, we got 4 stops: Huntington, Bells, Abu Dhabi, and El Salvador.
Yeah.
So who's got the better tour? So I'll put this to you, Dave, and we'll go event by event, and just tell me which location would you prefer? Okay, we'll start off with Huntington versus Newcastle.
I take Newcastle.
Okay,
it's rock bottom. It's in rock bottom, not in the sense of it's a shit way.
All right.
It has a slab. A lot of it has a rock reef bottom. So
okay.
It's
So,
interesting. It has a wedge. Huntington's just a freaking beach break, dude.
all right,
There's a-
mate. So,
yeah. Anyway,
so we agree two, two for Newcastle and zero for Huntington. So that's one for the Challenger. Okay, Bells. So the longboard second contest is at Bells. The Challenger second contest, Bolito. Bells or Bolito, mate? What do you got?
bells.
Okay, same. Okay, third contest, longboard has the Surf Abu Dhabi wave pool, and then the Challenger has Huntington. What do you got?
I'm taking the wave pool all day. I mean, come
Same,
on.
same.
It's
I'm,
for sure. So that's 2 points for the longboard tour.
and the last one, El Salvador versus Ericeira in Portugal.
For me, and you could take either of those waves in the Challenger Series, Ericeira or Saquarema, and I'll take El Salvador pretty much every time. I love, I don't know, that's a closer one battle for me because Ericeira looks fun. I've never surfed it, but El Sunzal is a super fun wave. It's kind of a longboardy type wave, but I surf that wave when I'm there. That's just so you guys know, when I go there, I slink off to El Sunzal and surf with a lot of the older guys. And some of the pros go out there and warm up too. And they had the ISAs there. So I love that wave. It is not Puna Roca, by the way. It's a different wave, but it's
Yeah,
still a super fun
it can
right-hander.
get good, right? It can get really
Oh,
good.
yeah. Yeah.
So
It's a
listen, mate.
toss-up.
We've just selected the longboard tour location over the Challenger. Just us two shooting some shit just then. What is up with that? That
Exactly.
shouldn't be the case, right?
Absolutely. And I would even go a step further and say, right now, T-Bone, you have a budget to go on a surf trip. Would you go to any of the Challenger Series locations with your surf trip money?
I'd go to Portugal.
Same, but none of the others. I might go to Bolito, but that's a lot of money to go to Bolito. And again, the surfers that are trying to qualify are being forced to go to Bolito. It probably isn't what they would choose.
There's a bit of history, I guess, in Durban. So yeah, I know. I mean, to be honest, El Salvador really appeals to me because Punta Roca looks so fun, and there's lots of right-handers, and I'm a natural footer. And the new wave pool in town.
It's
It's
intriguing. I don't know if you've been, I mean, on Instagram, everybody is surfing it. One after another, you see Ethan Ewing tearing it apart. I saw Jack Robinson. Am now seeing Griffin and Crosby and Cole surfing it. The 2% teams out there. So they're all getting their reps in. And I think Abu Dhabi's sending them tickets going, hey, come out and promote our pool. And at the same time, promoting the event that's coming in February. I'm really curious to see how that goes down. But I want to surf that wave. You want to surf that wave. Hey, Abu Dhabi. Hey, Goat. Here's a couple guys that are going to, I'm going to be part of the mid-length tour. So give me an invite. T-Bone will still get out there on his 6'2", I reckon.
all right. Anything just to get a Guernsey to go there.
No, truth. It looks pretty impressive. But yeah,
So,
I mean, look at these waves. I wouldn't pay to go to most of these waves on the Challenger Series tour. I mean, Newcastle, going to Newcastle, there's so many waves around there that are good. Same with Bolito. There's so many waves around there. I mean, hell, you go on a road trip to Mozambique and get some of those waves. You wouldn't go to Bolito. But politically, I understand too, you can't necessarily have an event in Mozambique. And I think that's further the problem in Indonesia, which is such a shame that they cannot have a bigger series event in Indonesia. We're missing out by not having Indonesia. What do you guys think? I'd love to get your comments down below in the comments. And if you're just enjoying the show, you don't need to have a comment. Just put a emoji down there. Or if this show sucks, put a little
it
shit
sucks.
emoji. Yeah, just say, hey, this sucks. I think we've covered some of the bases. Any other thoughts on this, man?
So when does the slab tour start? Where's the slab tour locations for 2025? There you go. We talked about it, I think, a couple of shows back. So, yeah, they've got a bit of work to do, haven't they, in the Challenger? I don't want to harp on about it, but when you've got a longboard tour that we're choosing to go to
Yeah.
those locations over the Challenger, for a couple of old mid-length guys, something's not right.
Yeah, and yeah, and that might be part of it too. I mean, but somebody that's in their 20s or 30s that are hitting their stride, riding a ghost, they're probably not. They would not want to travel to those places on the Challenger Series. And my last question would be: is this Ryan Crosby's first misstep? I think so.
Well, I think he just can't do everything all at once. I mean, he's increased the women's CT tour. I think step by step, maybe 26, 27. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I just don't think. I think he's done some good things. Let's face it. He's brought Cloudbreak to the final five. They've really spiced up the CT tour for next year. They've increased the women, so he's doing some good stuff. I
Agree.
think. I don't know whether the Challenger is in his remit or is he more focused on the CT level, but I'm sure they've been listening to the fans, and whether they'll pay any attention to all the flack that they would have copped from this schedule, we'll wait and see.
Yeah, I think it goes back to a budget, and you said at the beginning of the show, a budget and a politics situation, and I think this is a correction for the big CT tour they're going to have, and I am stoked about the CT tour coming. I'm looking forward to the next season, and there's a lot of new things coming on oldsurfdad.com. I haven't restructured the site, but behind the scenes things are happening. I'm going to have a Shark League next year, $20 to enter, and you win the entire prize purse for that. I've got my Discord being restructured at this time. It's getting there. So a lot of neat things coming for next season. And my shop is still there. You'll notice T-Bone is wearing the current Surf Show T-shirt. Damn, you're looking good, brother. And
Get one of these T-shirts, man.
It makes you look younger. It makes you look buffer. Buy the
It
T-shirt.
does. It's a magic T-shirt. Get on.
It's a magic T-shirt. Oh, that's shameless promotion. Hey, everybody, I appreciate you watching the show. Get into the comments. If you haven't subscribed yet, we talk surf over here. Go ahead and subscribe. Thanks, everybody on the podcast who's listened. And T-Bone, good to see you, man. We're going to do it soon. Even though T-Bone might even do a show from Switzerland. I don't know.
I'll be recording from the mountains, mate.
Oh, that would be sick, dude. I would love to see that.
Yeah, we'll do it for sure. Hey, one last thing before we go. We will do some live shows with the fantasy, correct? So
we're thinking about I'm not sure how that's going to work yet. I want to do some live shows. You and I need to figure out what the structure is going to be. But the fantasy season next year is super tight, and it might be hard for me to get some of the videos out in time. And the other thing I want to talk about offline is how we're going to do reselects. There's 12 events. There may be five. There may be 5 Challenger Series events, but there's freaking 12 CTs. So I do appreciate that.
We need to hire
and that
someone
includes
to
the finals.
Edits.
Pardon?
We need to hire someone to do all the pre-event edits.
Hey, by the way, if you are an editor, and the other thing I need is somebody to help me with surf news. If you are an up and coming writer or you want to get involved and help me with the surf news on oldsurfdad.com, I'd love to have you help out and get in touch with me through the website at oldsurfdad.com. In the About section, there's a contact page. And anyone that has skills, come and join me. I would appreciate it. Join T-Bone and I and help us out. Awesome show.
Yeah, dude. I'll speak to you from potentially Switzerland or Austria for our next show. Hopefully,
have a good trip, dude.
Hopefully,
I'm
they'll be in
I'm
one
s-
piece.
I'm so stoked for you, and keep that upper rail into the side of the mountain.
Yeah, mate. Okay. Thanks for the tip, dude.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers, guys. Stay safe. You.